The Chicago Bears slid $1 million across the table for a center who has not taken a snap with the team yet. And this one move tells you everything about where this roster is heading. Garrett Bradbury got an extra $1 million in guaranteed cash. Za Frazier, a 5th-round pick from a year ago, got his walking papers in the same 48-hour window. Smart people connected the dots. Ryan Poles is not playing for last season anymore. He is building for what comes next. And what comes next includes a comparison every fan in the NFC North should find uncomfortable. Because Poles stood at the podium and said his rookie safety reminded him of a player Chicago drafted at number 10 overall last year. Same person, same player, same takeover energy. This was a team finishing 11-6, winning the NFC North for the first time in 7 years, beating the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round with the largest comeback in franchise playoff history, and watching Caleb Williams throw for 3,942 yards in a franchise record season. Ben Johnson took the worst offense in football and turned it into the 6th-ranked unit in yards and the 9th-ranked unit in points. Then the offseason hit. Kobe Bryant signed for $40 million. Devin Bush signed for $30 million. Khalif Raymond signed for the speed. The draft followed, and the Bears walked away with 7 players who all have a path to a real role. And one of them is sitting on a contract clock nobody in Chicago is talking about. The defense is the part most fans want to look at first, because Chicago lost both starting safeties, lost a Pro Bowl center to retirement, and lost their offensive coordinator to the Baltimore Ravens. They replaced all of it. They added Dylan Thieneman at 25 overall. They added Malik Muhammad at 124. They added a defensive tackle in Jordan Vandenberg they traded up to grab. The corner room got younger. The safety room got faster. The offensive line got 2 new pieces. There's one rivalry note nobody outside of Chicago wants to admit out loud, which is the team Caleb Williams broke last January is still rebuilding, while Ben Johnson is already 2 steps into year 2. The story underneath all of this changes everything. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bears and all the NFL content. Can we get 500 likes on this video? Za Frazier never played a snap for the Chicago Bears. Not one. He was a 5th-round pick from the 2025 draft, the 169th overall selection out of UTSA, 6'3", with the kind of length and speed defensive backs Coach Al Harris wanted in the room. Al Harris is the one who pushed for him. Al Harris is the one who told the front office this was his guy. Then Frazier went on the non-football injury list in August for what the team described as a personal issue. He missed the entire season. He was supposed to come back. Ryan Poles said in January he had a mountain to climb. He never started climbing. The cut hit on Thursday before rookie minicamp. The timing matters. The Bears traded up in the 4th round of the 2026 draft to grab Malik Muhammad out of Texas, a corner with 29 starts in college and ball production every season. They drafted him to take the spot Frazier was sitting in. The math stopped working. Ben Johnson stood in front of reporters and said the trajectory was off. He said it was time to part ways. He did not say more. He did not need to. When you cut a 5th-round pick in May, before pads come on, before you have seen him move on grass with the rest of the team, you have already told the league everything they need to hear about him. Here's what the Frazier move opens up. Chicago goes into training camp with Jaylon Johnson locked in as a starter, Kyler Gordon in the slot, and an open job opposite Johnson between Tariq Stevenson, Terrell Smith, and the rookie Malik Muhammad. Stevenson is in the final year of his rookie deal and needs a bounce-back season. Smith missed all of 2025 with injury. Muhammad has the size and ball skills to push both. Josh Blackwell holds down the backup slot job. The depth is younger, the depth is faster, and the door for 1 or 2 more veteran additions is wide open. Ryan Poles has options. The competition is real. The shape of the room changes the second pads go on. And the offense, the Bears are loading up. Next gets even more interesting from there. Switch to the offense, because what the Bears did at receiver lit the entire fan base on fire. they drafted Xavier Thomas at pick number 89 in the 3rd round out of LSU. The pre-draft consensus had him listed somewhere in the 7th round on most boards. ESPN had him as the 17th best receiver still on the board when Chicago grabbed him. Ben Johnson did not flinch. He saw the 4.2, 840 time. He saw the 95 combined returns over a college career. He saw a player who has caught passes, taken handoffs, returned punts, and returned kicks. The Bears were not drafting a route runner. They were drafting a weapon, and a weapon for a head coach who was the best play designer in football last year. Ben Johnson told reporters, "Those guys do not grow on trees." He has a vision for Thomas. The closest comparison floating around the league is Rashid Shaheed, the receiver and return specialist who showed up in Seattle at the trade deadline last year and changed how the Seahawks offense moved. Thomas is a distant relative of Walter Payton, which is the kind of Chicago note you do not script for. He runs jet sweeps. He takes screens. He breaks tackles. Lance Zierlein of the NFL.com staff noted he has the body to play running back at the next level. The Bears do not need him to do all of it on day one. They need him to scare a defense into accounting for him every single snap, and the speed alone forces the calculus. The fit changes the receiver room in real ways. The top 2 are set with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden III. Khalif Raymond signed in March on a 1-year $5.1 million deal to bring veteran punt return value. Thomas layers underneath all of them as a gadget piece, a returner, and a developmental boundary receiver. The Bears traded DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills earlier in the offseason, and the moves since then have all been about replacing his volume with speed and creativity rather than another big-body target. Press Taylor, the new offensive coordinator, promoted from passing game coordinator after Declan Doyle left for Baltimore, gets to play with all of it. The next pick on the board is the one nobody saw coming. Here's the storyline nobody outside of the Hallis Hall draft room is connecting. Sam Roush went to Stanford. He was the senior tight end on the Cardinal roster last year. The same school, the same program. Drew Dahlman, the Pro Bowl center who walked away from football at 27 this offseason and forced the Bears into the Garrett Bradbury trade, was a Stanford guy too. Same school, same offensive line tradition, same pro-style program. Chicago tapped the same well twice in 2 off seasons, and the second tap is the one nobody saw coming. The Bears traded down 9 spots from pick 60 to pick 69, picking up an extra 5th round selection in the process, and used the new pick to grab the 6'6", 267-pound tight end out of Palo Alto. Roush lived in Asia for 4 years before coming back to play football. He has a rugby background. The film shows it. He bounces off defenders after the catch. He has acceleration off the line of scrimmage, which surprises corners trying to jam him. He had 49 catches for 545 yards last season at Stanford, all career highs, and he led ACC tight ends in receiving yards. The knock is the drops. He had 7 of them in 2025. His Stanford position coach, Nate Byam, said his hands are above solid and the volume of bad throws explain most of them. Ryan Poles described him as a strong addition for an offense built on heavy tight end personnel. He is not a project. He is a specific tool. This is where the room gets interesting. Cole Kmet is the 7-year veteran, the one Caleb Williams nicknamed Hulk, and the one with 1 year left on his deal after the upcoming season. Colston Loveland was the 10th overall pick in the 2025 draft and the future of the position. Roush is now the 3rd tight end and the heavy in-line blocker. Ben Johnson loves 12 and 13 personnel. The Bears were already top 5 in both groupings last year. With 3 real tight ends on the field, defenses have to guess pass or run, and the Bears get to mix and match without telling you anything. Kmet's contract becomes a question mark for 2027. Roush's arrival is the clock. The full draft tells the story, and one comparison from Ryan Poles brings it all together. Now to the comparison Ryan Poles made at the podium, the one the Bears fan base is still chewing on. He looked at Dylan Thieneman, the Oregon safety they grabbed at 25 overall, and said he reminded him of Colston Loveland. Same person, same player combination, the same passion for ball, the same work ethic, the same locker room presence. Loveland was the 10th overall pick last year. Thieneman fell to 25 because the position cost him. Some teams had him as their number 1 safety. PFSN ranked him number 18 overall on their consensus board. He ran a 4.35 at the combine. He played 2 years at Purdue, then transferred to Oregon for 1 year, then graded out as the consensus second safety on every major board, behind only the Ohio State safety taken earlier in the round. The Bears followed it up with Logan Jones at 57, the Iowa center who won the Remington Trophy in 2025 as the best center in college football. He started 51 games as a Hawkeye. He played for the same offensive line program Drew Dahlman came out of years before at Stanford, the kind of program Ben Johnson trusts. Then came Sam Roush at 69 and Xavier Thomas at 89. Both already covered, both speaking to the same theme. The Bears wanted football character, locker room guys, weapons for a system already proven in year 1. The first 3 picks on day 2 went offense. The front office is locked in on the receiving group and the offensive line, and the defense was the lead headline of day 1 and day 3. Day 3 is where the value set. Malik Muhammad at 124 was the corner Texas started for 2 seasons, second team All-SEC in 2025, with 3 career interceptions and 19 passes defensed. Keyshawn Elliott at 166 was the Arizona State linebacker the Bears acquired in a trade with the Carolina Panthers, the kind of high motor locker room guy Ben Johnson keeps stacking on this roster. Jordan Vandenberg at 213 was the Georgia Tech defensive tackle the Bears traded up twice to grab in the 6th round. 7 picks, 7 players with a path to a role. The first round comparison is the headline. The 7th round work is the foundation. The division is the next problem to solve. The road to a repeat goes straight through 3 teams who all have major problems the Bears do not. Start with the Green Bay Packers. They lost the wild card game 31-27 at Soldier Field in January after blowing a 21-3 lead. Matt LaFleur kept his job. Jeff Hafley left to become the Miami Dolphins head coach. Jonathan Gannon came in as defensive coordinator. Edge rusher Micah Parsons is recovering from a torn ACL. Rashan Gary got traded. Receiver Romeo Doubs walked. Linebacker Quay Walker walked. Backup quarterback Malik Willis walked. The Packers have no first-round pick. They drafted a corner in Brandon Siss in round 2 and reached for defensive linemen on day 2. The roster is younger and thinner than it has been in years. The Detroit Lions are still the talent favorites in most rooms, but the cap is a problem. Jared Goff carries a $70 million cap hit. They traded David Montgomery to the Houston Texans. Dan Campbell has rebuilt his coordinator staff for the 2nd straight offseason after losing both of them last year. The defense was already leaking. The offensive line is a question mark. Then there are the Minnesota Vikings, carrying the worst cap problem in the NFC and the 2nd worst in the entire league at negative $40 million in space. The team firing general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah after 4 seasons. The team trading Jonathan Greenard to the Philadelphia Eagles for $34 million in cap relief. And the team handing the keys to Kyler Murray on a 1-year deal with J.J. McCarthy waiting behind him. 3 teams, 3 different kinds of trouble. Then look at Chicago. The Bears are the only team in the NFC North returning their offensive play caller, their defensive play caller, and their starting quarterback in 2026. Ben Johnson designs the offense and calls the plays. Dennis Allen runs the defense. Caleb Williams has now spent a full year in the system and is heading into year 3 of his career. The continuity advantage is real. The roster around him is healthier and faster than it was in January. The first place schedule will be tougher. The expectations are higher. None of those things changes the truth at the center of all this. The room around the head coach has the same fingerprints all over it. And then comes the move at the heart of the entire offseason. Back to the move at the top of this video. Garrett Bradbury signed his renegotiated contract on Wednesday. The team converted $1 million of his incentives into guaranteed salary. His 2026 cap hit dropped from $5.7 million to $4.7 million. His guaranteed money jumped from $0 to $3.7 million. The math looks small. The signal is enormous. Bradbury was on a one-year deal. He came over from the New England Patriots in March in exchange for a 2027 fifth-round pick after Drew Dalman retired at 27. The Bears never expected him to be a long-term answer. They expected him to be a stopgap who held the position while they found their guy. Then they drafted Logan Jones at 57, and the timeline accelerated. Now look at the trade rumor. Tyler Linderbaum signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, leaving the Baltimore Ravens without a starting center. Mike Sando at The Athletic floated the Ravens as the logical landing spot for Bradbury if Chicago traded him. The Ravens reportedly tried to draft Logan Jones themselves before Chicago snapped him up. The current Ravens depth chart has former undrafted free agent Corey Bullock at center. The fit lines up. But three things have to happen first. Logan Jones has to win the starting job in pads. The Bears have to find a backup center plan beyond Luke Newman. The trade compensation has to be at least a fifth-round pick to break even on what Chicago paid New England. The pieces are stacked. The rumors are loud, but nothing is imminent. The real red on the restructure is simpler. The Bears guaranteed extra money to keep Bradbury comfortable in case the rookie wins the job and his incentives become impossible to earn. They want competition without losing their veteran insurance policy. They want the room healthy. They want Bradbury focused on developing Caleb Williams in the offensive line, not worried about his paycheck. Ben Johnson said publicly that Logan Jones has the makeup. Ryan Poles drafted him in the second round for a reason. The competition is open. The trade door is cracked, but not kicked in. The Bears are running the center battle the same way they ran every other position battle last year, with both options paid and both options ready. The closing chapter brings everything together. The Chicago Bears were 11-6 last season. They beat the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs for the first time since the year 2010. They watched Caleb Williams go from the most sacked quarterback in the league as a rookie to a franchise record passing year. They added a Pro Bowl level safety in Kobe Bryant, a starter at linebacker in Devin Bush, a return specialist in Khalif Raymond, a center of the future in Logan Jones, a top 3 safety in Dylan Thieneman, a 4th-round corner with starter traits in Malik Muhammad, a 3rd-round receiver with 4.28 speed in Xavier Thomas, and a tight end with rugby physicality in Sam Roush, 7 draft picks, 6 free agent signings, 1 head coach with a year of head coaching experience under his belt, and a system the rest of the division is trying to copy. This team is going to win 12 games, 12-5, NFC North champions for a second straight year. Caleb Williams finishes top 5 in MVP voting in his 3rd season. The Bears split their 2 games against the Green Bay Packers. They beat the Detroit Lions twice. The defense climbs from 23rd in points allowed into the top 15, with Dylan Thieneman, Kobe Bryant, and Devin Bush in the front 7. Austin Booker breaks out at edge rusher and gets to 7 sacks. The offense climbs from 9th in scoring into the top 5, and the playoff run goes further than the divisional round this time. Argue with the prediction? The comments are open. Some of you are going to think 12 wins is conservative, and some of you are going to think 12 wins is delusional, and the honest read here is, the division will look very different in January. Drop your record prediction in the comments and hit the subscribe button before the UDFA tracker drops next week, because the work on this roster is not done. There's still a path for 1 more veteran cornerback, 1 more interior defensive line addition, and 1 veteran edge rusher who moves the needle. The starting center snaps Drew Dalman vacated have to be filled by someone, and the door for a Garrett Bradbury trade has been left open for a reason. This team is built to peak in November and December. The next breakdown goes pick by pick through every undrafted free agent, because 2 of those guys are going to make the 53-man roster, and one of them might end up starting before the season ends.